Welcome to the beating heart of Hollywood. This is the phenomenal Blair Estate. Coming in at $13 million, it is 8 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms. It's on a full acre of land, and it was built in 1924, almost 100 years ago, by George Freuhling. It was featured in Architectural Digest in 1926. And just to give you some bearings of exactly where we're at, we're in the foot of the Hollywood Hills. Less than a mile that way is the famous Mann's Chinese Theatre. About a quarter of a mile that way is where the Sunset Strip begins. So if you can imagine, 100 years ago, there was nothing around here. This estate was just built in the hills and was full of dignitaries, movie stars, and it has history beyond. So it is my distinct pleasure to take you on a journey through this masterpiece known as the Blair Estate, right here in the heart of the Hollywood Hills. The style of the Blair Estate is Mediterranean Spanish. One of the things that I adore about Mediterranean and Spanish flavored homes in Los Angeles is they're always so romantic. You have beautiful Sortillo tile as a hallmark of the design. There are also lots of water treatments. And then also we have a lot of beautiful classic ironwork that wrap the property. This property has a lot of balconies and some terrific views across the city. But now, I want to take you in a time machine and go back 100 years to some of the most magnificent detail I've ever seen in a vintage home in Los Angeles. Let's go. As we enter the property, I'm met by this magnificent carved and ornate oak wooden door. And then this is just something you do not see in homes anymore. A traditional foyer, which has incredible detail all the way around the molding. Again, the motif of the ironwork is continued on this absolutely divine spiral staircase. With this being 1924, marble is extensively used throughout the property, which is something I adore. The floors that I'm standing on are 100 years old, and they look like they were put in about a month ago. I want to explore the foyer just a little bit. The signature with this home is detail. Everywhere you look, there is detail. This is just a closet door, yet it is beautifully ornate, hand carved, finished carpentry, stunning. A beautiful brass handle with ornate detail. The foyer is framed by this wonderful Art Deco statue. And then one thing not to miss are the light fixtures. The light fixtures in homes in the 1920s, I think it's just about my favorite era. They were so glamorous, and there's lots of brass and glass and just wonderful substances. Remember, this is an era when Los Angeles was emerging as one of the most important cities on the planet, and this is where the movie business began. So now we're gonna enter the formal living room, which I stepped down a couple of steps, and it is just simply magnificent. This whole home has actually been redesigned by a very famous historic renovation interior designer called Linda Bretner, and it's kind of hard to tell what was here and what wasn't, but I want to cover some of the details of classic Mediterranean in the 1920s. I look up to the ceiling and we have these beautiful oak ceilings that have these wonderful motifs on them, and these have been restored back to pretty much how they were 100 years ago. The other thing to note is this turquoise Venetian plaster, which I'm sure has been done recently, is simply magnificent. It's a bold color, it almost reminds me of Tiffany blue, but it just works so perfectly. The detail, the light fixtures, these are from the 1920s. Beautiful, and then the fireplace, of course, framing this black marble fireplace, which is essentially the heart of this room. I'm sure many stories have been told in this living room over the past 100 years, many of which would like to be kept secret, I'm sure. And so the room is framed beautifully by this vintage Steinway grand piano which I'm very tempted to jump on and see if I can remember a few old tunes. But another detail is this mirrored treatment on the west wall. It's kind of like an opaque mirror, which I'm sure has been installed by the new designer, but it just fits so perfectly with the overall style and the accoutrement and just the vibe of this property. And then we step into this absolutely phenomenal room, which is framed with this beautiful terrazzo floor. But this is your Hollywood movie producer office. Staring out across Hollywood, sitting in my big leather chair, signing movie deals, looking across my pool. This is a moment. And then if I want to get out and smoke a cigar, I can step outside and have one on my private patio. I've got another thing to show you. Just off the office is a waiting room for guests to come and hang out before they see the big boss. Off of this beautiful oak paneled room is a bookcase. Or is it a bookcase? It's a private room. No one would ever know that this exists behind the bookcase. As I come back out of the living room across the formal foyer, I'm led into a room that could potentially be my favorite room in the entire home. The formal dining room. An epic room with the most magnificent light, easily enough dining for 10, 12, 16, maybe 20 people. Again, it's all about the details. The ceiling has been lovingly reimagined by the new interior designer to match the flavor of the living room. One of the motifs of this type of home are the details with the wainscoting and the moldings. I'm a big fan of wainscoting and moldings because it just gives it just so much more romance. And you will notice there is the similar color, not the same, but a similar color to the living room. And the light in this room is spectacular, framed by the drapery, which is just super on point, and of course the light fixtures. I don't think this was the original light fixture, but the interior designer went and found this, and it is magnificent. And of course, a vintage sideboard just finishes everything off in this room. This room is perfection. We continue into a breakfast room. The breakfast room, once again, opens out onto the balcony. And we have, this is a classic LA moment. This is Batchelder tile. This tile was with the original home. And this is a renowned tiler from 100 years ago. And very often we see this in homes in Los Angeles. What we don't see often is a tile piece this size. It's incredibly valuable and wonderful, and an artistry, and it's woven into the fabric of Los Angeles folklore and history. We traverse out of the breakfast room into the most sensational kitchen. It's so long, I'm going to break this up into two pieces. We have a middle island with this Carrara marble, with seating for about 3 or 4 people. This is where the action happens. This is the center of this room. It has a beautiful little gentle lip carved into the Carrara. We have professional stove. We have Sub-Zero refrigerator. And then on this section of the kitchen, we have a different stone. This looks like a black marble, which again has been honed and just is absolutely, the details are magnificent. My favorite parts of this kitchen is this checkered floor. We have 3 different types of stone, which just creates such a warmth, and it's very engaging. Sometimes when you see multiple stones, it can be a little bit dicey, but this one is done with extraordinarily beautiful taste. And then we have a place to just sit down, watch the telly, have my espresso, and still be in the kitchen and be with everyone. This is a 10 out of 10 as well for me. And so I wanted to show you the depth of the kitchen so that you can capture the romance. It really is remarkable, from the light fixtures to the various types of stone. This is a kitchen that I would love, 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 love to have my holiday party in. And then one last detail of the kitchen is this fully fitted pantry, which is fantastic. My wife Cindy would just go bonkers for this, but I love the details. I love how it feels original, and I love the steel rods. I love everything about it, and I like that we have glass doors. As we head to the bedrooms, another thing to point out are these really quite miraculous stained glass windows. Over the years, a lot of the stained glass in Los Angeles got damaged or removed. These look like they've been restored, and it is a really beautiful detail that just creates a narrative and a story for the house, because it's such a romantic home. Now I'm going to show you the owner's suite. We're met with this Normandy style oak door with brass fittings. We come through into the southwest corner of the upper level, and this is all master bedroom. It is fantastic. I love every single thing in this home. I mean, I love the artwork, I love the finishes, I love the furniture, and one of the things that I really, really gravitate to is the colors and the beading. Beading on a wall is something that's so simple to do. So few people do it, and it just creates warmth and vibrance, and it makes it feel a little bit more grand. Again, the color in this room is kind of like a light blue, a powder blue, which works so perfectly. And then we're going to head into the master bathroom. We have a beautifully restored vanity area, and then we head into this. This has been lovingly restored. We have marble floors. We have the detail. This tile is from the period. Many, many homes had this wonderful style tile when they were built in the 20s and 30s, and over the years it gets bashed out and thrown away, which in my opinion is a crime. There is such a vibe in this place. One of the things that I love about this era is, I mentioned it earlier, the marble. We have marble framing the windows, which sounds strange. You probably never do it today, but it adds such an illustrious kind of detail to a home that feels, you know, in London we would call this very la-di-da. It's a very posh house, and all of these extra accoutrements, the light fixtures, this stone, which is the same as what's in the kitchen, they're all fantastic details. I know the first thing that I would do if I woke up in this bedroom, which is simply amazing, I would wake up and go, how the hell did I get in this bedroom? Because it's brilliant. I just want to show you the light fixture again. The light fixtures are so good. You know, it's so rare that I actually see great light fixtures in a home. Every single one of them here is just so on point. I love this little sitting area, which is framed by this walnut vintage piece. But first thing in the morning, I would have a little cup of coffee and I would step out onto my own personal terrace. And it's a terrace of size. I can sit here. Imagine 100 years ago, there was nothing here. There were barely any cars. And I would be sitting here drinking my lovely French espresso, staring over really trees with not much going on. You might hear the occasional the old horns from the 1920s cars, but not really much else. And then of course all around here got built up, and even though we're a full acre in this property, all around us, I used to live about a quarter of a mile from here for a long time, and I loved it because I love the history of Hollywood. I love kind of the history of the movies, and I love, love, love the history of this house. Let's take a quick peek at some of the other bedrooms. We move across the landing, which has this, again, wonderful arched motif, which is a signature of Spanish homes. And then I'm going to show you the guest suite. Again, opening to the outside, looking across Hollywood. You have your own private balcony where you can contemplate a script or just life. And then we step into another beautifully restored 1920s bathroom, this time in the powder blue tile. I'm not sure if this is original or not. It's hard to tell because they did such a good job. And then a pretty decent closet for a guest room, full walk-in closet for a guest room. This bedroom is one of my favorites. I love that we're on the southeast corner. This just has a different flavor again. The palette that the designer used is just so romantic. It feels a little bit more modern. We have a more modern light fixture. The colors are a little bit more of a softer palette, more of a 2023 palette. And then we have a little home office in here tucked away. So perhaps this could be an office room, it could be a guest room with an extended stay, but this is another really, really beautiful room which is framed by this beading. And of course, every door you see is a carpenter finished oak door. And then last but not least on the upper level, I want to show you this guest bathroom. We have this marvelous motif, which I imagine was original, but I have a feeling that this was completely restored or rebuilt in the style of a green marble this time, which is delectable, and then a tub framed in black marble. As we leave the upper level, we sneak through these two little doors that you might almost miss if you didn't know they were here, that take us down to the entertainment level, which has one of the most magnificent moments I've ever seen in any house. And I'm going to take you there right now. Remember, this is classic Hollywood. This is all about the movies. Well, nothing beats this, a fully restored 1924 classic Hollywood movie theater. This is magnificent. We have incredible detail with the ceiling. We have wonderful, big, rich leather couches. We have the even deeper couches at the front. Every moment in this theater is just magical. The light fittings, the fabric, everything. Yes, I'm going to use that phrase, ladies and gentlemen. This is another 10 out of 10. If somebody said to me, Pete, can you design a movie theater that you would want to use all the time? It would be this. And then just off it, we have a little snack area where you can put your drinks or your treats, your chocolates, and there's even a little sink. Or perhaps somebody's in here preparing drinks and snacks for people and serving them during the various premieres of the smash hit movies that have been shown on that very screen. After the movie's over, it's a huge hit. We all want to celebrate, so we step outside. And then just a few steps from the movie theater is an incredible indoor-outdoor bar. Again, completely reimagined, a different stone again. This is spectacular. And this brings us to the outdoor areas, which I'm going to walk through now. What I love about this is it doesn't really matter what time of year it is. This is the place that everyone would be hanging, because if it's raining, who cares? But if it's super hot, you just know that the martinis have been flowing in this spot, along with the secrets and probably a few betrayals of marriages, I would imagine. We step up and out of the bar, which leads us to the pool deck. An oversized pool, extremely deep. You can't build them that deep anymore. And what I love about this outdoor area is we've got so many different sections. We have the pool, and then as I spin around, we have the outdoor dining, full barbecue, little seating area here. Again, dining for at least, well, 10, 12, 14, you could fit a much bigger table in here. And then of course, if you've got kids and they're running around, or dogs, or whatever, this all cascades into where we began, which is this oversized lawn, which is nearly impossible to find in the Hollywood Hills. You just don't get flat land like this. Again, the Blair house comes in at over a full acre. It's a remarkable property, and one that I feel very, very privileged that I've seen. As we step off of the lawn, we enter into another room which I know my children would love. This is the games room. We're in the lower level of the house. We have a card table right here. We have a pool table. And then, of course, rounding out this room perfectly is the jukebox. And then this leads us right back to where we came from. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Daria Grrenbaum. She is the listing agent for this property, so congratulations and thank you for letting us film here.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. This is a house that really needs to be seen by the world. The restoration work here is so remarkable.
Can you tell us a little bit about the restoration team, Linda and her team?
Yeah, absolutely. So Linda Brettler is a historic preservation architect, and so she restored the property really going back to details from the 1920s and very specifically to this period and to this style of home. So for instance, these floors that we're standing on right now, you would imagine have always been here, but she actually put these in.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of the moldings that you see around the property, she worked specifically with someone who does 1920s moldings to decide exactly what should have been in this house and was maybe even taken out over time.
That's so funny, because when I was doing the foyer, I said, we're walking on floors that are 100 years old.
You would think, right?
You would think, but they are, I'm pretty good at spotting the details. Yeah. Even I was like, is this original or is this new?
This really fools all experts. Another thing that's really incredible to point out, everyone always compliments these stained glass windows, and they're actually not original to the house. They were brought in from a castle in England.
Wow.
And so a lot of the things that you see here, different tile work, different windows, and different treatments around the house, were actually brought from other estates and castles around the world into this property, which I think also just gives it that unique feel.
It is simply remarkable. So the interior is just a story. Every room you go in, it has such a narrative. We're on a full acre here.
We are.
What are some of the other aspects? Because we can't cover everything in the video because we'd be here for 24 hours.
Exactly. Oh gosh, there's so many aspects. So beyond the details that you see here, being on a full acre is one of the most rare things about this property. And the fact that we're completely concealed from the street, most people don't even know that this property is here. They just see a gate and it's, a question mark as to what's inside, and you just pass by it and don't even know that we're on one of the few full acre parcels. And we're also one of the properties that still retains its original 1 acre lot. A lot of these older estates had their parcels split up over time. Right.
I used to live about a quarter of a mile from here, and I used to walk my dogs past this street. And of course, I now know the house because I'm in the real estate business, but I never dreamed this was behind it when I used to walk.
No one does. Yeah.
Yeah, it truly is. We are in a time capsule, but in a beautiful way. It is a time capsule, but it is perfect for 2024, even though it was built in 1924. So I want to thank you for allowing us to take a wonderful tour through your property. It is magnificent.
Of course. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming with me on this journey. This is the Blair Estate in the beating heart of Hollywood, at the foothills of some of the most expensive real estate on the West Coast, if not the world. Remember, when this was built, there was nothing else here. So I'm going to disappear and leave you with the house.